Okay, we're starting into the CNC box. This is a 1/32 inch diameter router bit. And right now it's cutting the grooves for the lid to slide in. And now it's cutting the groove on the other side for the lid to slide in. These would actually be called, I guess, dados for the lid to slide in. So it's going to cut all three of those. Now it's going to go put a slot for the thumbnail to open the lid. And now it's going to do a rabbet around the edge of the lid. And so this will be all around the edge of the three sides of the lid. The router, I think we're running about 30 inches a minute at the router. Now we're going to go in and start cutting the boxes out. That'll be the top of the box. And now we're doing finger joints, and these are all different size finger joints on each side of the box. Top, bottom, all the sides are done with finger joints. And so this is finger jointing one panel of the box. We've got a total of 6 sides for the box, the 4 sides, top and bottom. And notice how the router just goes around with such precision and goes in and out of each one of these fingers and cuts away. Now, as you notice, our cut is not the smoothest thing. The router bits just don't seem to like the multi-porch plywood real good and give it a clean cut. They leave a lot of fuzz. But when we get done here in the end, we'll sand that off real quick and take care of most of the fuzz. But this is another one of the parts of the box just going along. And as you notice, time-wise, we aren't doing too bad. We're only at about 2 minutes now into cutting this thing. So 2.5 minutes, I guess. So here we go. Now part of the time I hold the pieces down because I just clamp my whole board down to the router table, but then the pieces are individually cut out, and so now that piece is loose in there. The only thing holding it in is the sawdust left in the kerf of the router bit. So I'll kind of hold them in with my little tool once in a while. And there you can see it's coming down along. That's going to be the top edge of the box, and there was the slot for the lid to be sliding in. And as you can see again, we're making all different size finger joints. All these finger joints were set up different on each portion of the box. It takes a while to draw some of this stuff up and figure out your spacing and all that, and make sure you get the sides right and everything. Here we're backing off so you can kind of see a little bit more of the router. It's just a quarter cable trim router that is mounted into the router frame. And as you can see, I've got a dust hose down. I've got a small dust collector down at the bottom underneath the table there that hose is hooked to and catches part of the dust off the router. There's a little bit better shot of the whole router, and there's the computer that's running the router. So it's just kind of a setup all here in my shop that I play on, and I make little things like this. It's kind of nice to just be able to draw stuff up and then go out and just easily cut it out and see whether it works or not. They're kind of a cute little box here that we're making, and I don't know what you use them for, but I mean, it was just an idea I came up with. I wanted to make these little boxes of some sort with all the tabs and everything, and so I did. Now here's the lid, and now we're going to go cut out. Whoops, no, we're cutting out the other side, I guess. Oh, that was up to the lid. But that is the lid up there. We're just coming down. I guess we're cutting the 5th side of the box. You can see, we're still just going around. As you lay this stuff out, you get your spacings. You've got a little bit of scrap wood or spare space in between each one. I suppose you wouldn't have to leave that much, but I did when I drew it up. Trying to zoom in and it's not working. Camera just doesn't want to autofocus. I don't know whether it's picking up the spindle of the router and going out of focus or what, but it doesn't seem to like the focus back and forth very good. But as you can see, we're coming down on our last side, and again we're holding it in so that the part doesn't fly out. And now we're going to come around and cut the lid, and that'll be cut on the outside of that rabbet. It's amazing the way the router knows exactly where it's going and just zips around this stuff. Okay, we're done. Now the router will come back to the home position, stop and shut off. And then we'll move the router back out of the way so that we can get to our pieces that are in the board. And they're all just laying in there. The sawdust is all that's holding them in. Now we'll go over and we'll sand those real quick. I just use a pad sander with like some 220 grit sandpaper. Give them all a quick once over on each side. And that takes away most of the fuzz and burrs. If I was going to glue this up and finish it, I would probably do a little bit better job of sanding, but for this demo it's good. Now we're going to put the box together. As you can see, the tabs just slide right in. Now we got to think about this. We're using a 32nd inch diameter bit, so these corners actually have a 32nd radius, and what we think of as square cuts down in these corners. But the box still does fit together pretty good once you figure out which sides go on to which. And of course I haven't really worked at sanding down the parts or smoothing any of them out. See some of these grooves. But the box does fit together, and with some glue and clamps it will stick together good. Now the lid's a little tight, so I'm just a hair off on my measurements, but a few times in and out, and the lid will work properly the way it's supposed to. You should be able just to catch the little slot in the top. There's the box, finger joints all the way around, and pull the lid right out, and then the lid should slide right back in and pull out easy again with the thumb. And that's what it is just a little box. Let's take a closer look at some of these sides and finger joints. And as you can see, they're all different sizes, but each piece is cut on the CNC there in like 5 minutes to make this little box. So it's kind of interesting.